Hello everyone, welcome back to Abdo channel. In today's video, we will be starting up with the first topic in our AWS Cloud Certified Cloud Practitioner exam tutorial. Okay, so the domain one is all about the cloud concepts. So this is the agenda for the domain one. Okay, what are the topics we are going to cover in domain one that we will see here? Okay, what are the different IT systems that any enterprise or an organization that are required to build? What are the different components that are required to build any IT system? That we will see it, and after that we will move on to the what is the necessity of the cloud computing and what are the advantages of cloud computing. What is the main difference between capital expenditure, capex, and the operational expenditure? This is one of the advantages of the cloud computing. We will see it in detail what is the difference between them. And we will also see what is the scalability. We will see, I mean, we generally hear the term scalability whenever we are working up with any IT systems that our system is not scalable to handle so much load, our systems are going down. What does it mean by scalability? That all things we will see it in what are the in detail. What are the different scalability options that are available for an IT system? That we will see it in detail. And what are the different service models that are provided by cloud? And what are the different deployment models that are provided by any cloud provider? And we will move on to the overview of the AWS. What is the AWS and how these services, how these deployment models are supported, are provided by the AWS, how the advantages of or the features of cloud computing are provided by AWS, that we will see it here. Next, we will see what are the different are the core services that are provided by AWS. And finally, we will move on to AWS console overview. When you subscribe to any cloud service provider, you will be provided with a service console or the log. You have to register with that cloud service provider while subscribing, right? So after subscribing, you have to manage the services or create the resources. All those things you can do it from the AWS console. So what all things we can do it in the AWS console, that we will see it in this section. So this is these are the list of topics that we are going to cover in domain one in the subsequent videos as well. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover till first three line items. What are the different IT systems, cloud computing, and the advantages of cloud computing. In the next subsequent videos, we'll be having separate videos for each of these topics that we will be covering as part of domain one. Okay, so let me start with the first item. Okay, so when if there is an enterprise, right, there are enterprises or organizations when they want to build any IT system or the information technology systems, right? So suppose there are so many employees in the organization and they don't want to maintain all the employee data in books or the transactions in a ledgers. So they want to maintain or they want to store all employee data in digital form in some storage devices and all, right? So that is where they want to build a computer machine on the CPU and also the storage devices. They have to store all of them into the uh, in a digital form, right? All of the employee data, all of the transaction data. So that is one of the example of IT system for any enterprise or an organization that is required. So there are employees, they want to exchange the mails, not the physical mails, but the electronic mails, right? So there should be an IT system that is capable of receiving emails, sending emails, fetching emails. So we should be having some email servers or the email client IT systems or the softwares, right? So the organization should be having a system to store the emails and fetch the emails, send and receive the emails, right? Another example of an IT system is suppose there is an organization, they want to show the details of the organization, like what are their goals and what is their vision about the future, what is their vision about the technology, what are the technologies they are using, and what are the board of directors of that organization, what are the events that happens in that organization, all those their mission and vision, everything, right? They want to maintain in a static website. So that static website also needs to be deployed on some application server or the web server, right? So this is also another example of an IT system that every organization needs, right? There is another example like e-commerce or the banking system. Suppose I have an organization that my organization is dealing with the e-commerce applications. Like I have an e-commerce application where customers can log in and sell the products or the buy the products from my application. So all those things are like any banking, any banks, right? They'll maintain the banking system so that the customers can log in and do the transactions from the internet banking systems. So all these things they have to maintain in a information technology systems, right? So to build all these systems, the enterprises has to buy some required machines, physical machines, or web servers, application servers, or the softwares, so like email clients and email servers, storage devices to store the data in digital form. All these things they have to buy on their own and build them as per their requirements, right? So when organization create all these resources on their premises, they have to build and maintain all of them on their own, right? So suppose if you are creating a physical machine and deploying a web server or creating a web server on it or installing a web server on that physical machine, right? So you have to maintain all those physical machines or the web servers or the application servers on your phone. So that is what every organization has been following since ages. Okay, so these are the different IT systems that every organization needs. But what happens? For any IT system to build, right? So the IT, the organization has to buy physical machines, storage, network, switch, router, network interface cards, firewalls. These are all required, and these are acting as an infrastructure before we build some applications or a platform on it. Right? These are all called as infrastructure components that any organization has to buy and maintain for running any IT system, right? So on top of it, once they buy the physical machines or the storage, they'll install some operating system softwares or the application servers, web servers, database servers. All these are application deployment environments or the development environments. All these are acting as a platform. So on top of this, the users will be developing some applications based on the platform. Suppose if it is a database server, right? So database tables will be created on the database. If it is an application server, applications will be deployed on the application server. So all those things will be acting as a platform. These platforms or the operating systems will be installed on top of the infrastructure. So on top of the platform, they need this. Okay, suppose they want to build an email client software or the email server software. They have to build a machine by a machine, and they have to maintain, install an operating system, and they have to install the email server software like Exchange server or anything, right? Any SMTP server as well. So these all are acting as applications. So similarly, if any organization wants to build a banking, internet banking application, similarly, they have to buy the physical machines, operating system, and they have to build and deploy the internet banking web-based application on it. So those all are called as softwares. So basically, these are the different resources that are required for an organization when they are trying to build any IT system. Okay, and they are classified into infrastructure, platform, and the software. So these are the things which we have seen. Whenever any organization is building any application, they need this network, storage, servers, virtualization, OS, middleware, and the runtime libraries that are required to build the applications, and they have to maintain the data as well. So these are the different components that we have seen for an organization to build an IT system. So these are the features or the responsibilities when organization is building an application, right? Suppose the first point is about the capital expenditure. So capital expenditure means enterprises or the organizations has to buy the servers, storage, and the network devices upfront itself. I mean, in the beginning of the project or in the capacity analysis phase itself, they have to buy the while they are after the capacity analysis phase, they have to buy the required software, required machines upfront itself. Okay, based on their capacity analysis, they have to spend a lot of money to buy all these servers. Suppose if I am building an e-commerce application, suppose my application, I'm guessing my application has to accept 100 million requests or 1 million requests in an hour. So I have to buy some 100 different physical machines, and I have to buy install the application server, web servers on top of them. I have to buy the softwares, I have to buy deploy the applications on top of them. All those things I have to uh, capture, I mean, in the capacity analysis phase, right? So based on those analysis outcomes, we have to buy those many physical machines, those many storage devices, those many web servers and application servers licenses. All those things we have to uh, incur. I mean, we have to maintain, or we have to spend in the initial phases in the upfront itself. So one-time investment is very large investment we have to, the organizations has to spend. Coming to the second point, that is called as the capital expenditure, one-time investment or the big investment on all IT system resources. Next, second point is about security. So when you are maintaining everything on your own, or when you are building or maintaining everything on your own premises, you will be having a lot of control about the data storage and the security. Everything is will be under the organization or enterprise control itself. So there is no, I mean, you have to implement a lot of security procedures, or you can customize your security standards so that your data or the application or your customers data will be insecure always. Okay, that is about the security will be always the enterprise control of enterprise. Coming to the third point, deployment. Enterprise has to deploy resources like servers within the infrastructure with their IT experts, right? So as you are maintaining, you have to deploy the applications or the physical servers or whatever it is. So you need to maintain some IT resources as well to create those resources like machines, storage devices, application deployments, web servers, or the application servers. Everything you have to maintain some kind of IT people for doing those deployments. Next, scalability. I mean, this is what the one of the main features of any application. Okay, they have to scale up or scale down, depends upon the traffic comes to the IT system. Suppose I'm building an e-commerce application, right? So my application is I mean, my application has been built to accept some 100K requests in an hour, but during the peak seasons, uh, I may be getting some 1 million 1 million transactions or 1 million requests in an hour. So all those things I have to consider, and I have to bring up my application or the physical servers or the application servers, everything, so that those many requests or the 1 million requests will also be uh, handled in an hour. Suppose in the off-peak hours, like when there is a very dull season, there will not be so many requests, right? So I have to bring down the physical servers, and bringing up these physical servers or the application servers and bringing down all these resources will take a lot of time. Okay, we have to go to the market and we have to buy the required server, we have to build them, we have to test them, everything, right? So all those servers we have to build and test while doing bringing up the so many servers. Again, we have to, while bringing down, we have to test the application on the remaining servers which are there on the pool. So scalability is all about bringing up or bringing down the server's capacity depends upon the traffic that comes to their IT systems. So this is also has to be done by the enterprise itself. Okay, next, maintenance. Maintenance of resources, right? So maintenance of resources, whatever the resources that we are using as part of any IT system, like machines, servers, web servers, database, storage devices, everything we have to maintain. The organization has to maintain all of them by deploying some other additional resources for maintenance, additional IT experts for maintaining the system. So all these things are there. The enterprises has to handle, has to take care of everything as they are deploying all these things on their own premises. So what are the advantages of on-premise building the systems in on-premise? So data protection. So you will be having full control about the data, right? Because the data is being stored in your systems, in your IT systems only. So you will be implementing whatever the security standards that are required, and you will be customizing the security as per your requirements. So everything will be under your control. So data protection will be very high when you are building the IT system in the on-premises. Accessibility is also one of the advantages, because you don't need to rely on anything else. You just need the LAN. Whenever your system's gone down due to some any other issues, like you just need the local area network connection. You don't need the internet connection. So you just need the LAN connection. You can try to connect to it whenever there is a problem with the system or any application server to debug that issue. So accessibility is another advantage for on-premise systems. Okay, that is those are the advantages. Let's go back to the disadvantages of on-premise systems. So capital expenditure, deployment time, scalability, maintenance cost. These are the different disadvantages of an enterprise on-premise systems. Like capital expenditure, as we discussed, right? We have to spend a lot of money upfront itself based on the required servers. It is a one-time investment and also a big investment. So that is the capital expenditure. So small organizations cannot afford those that much amount in the upfront itself, right? So that is one of the disadvantages for small organizations when they are building on-premise systems. So coming to the deployment time of resources is very high. So deployment time of resources is very high in on-premise systems. Like we have to go and buy the required physical machines, servers, everything. We have to at least, it will take at least weeks or months to deploy new physical machines or the application servers into the pool or into the system. So it will deployment time will be very high. Again, scalability is also not that easy to do the to scaling up or scaling down the resources in the system is not that easy, because assuming 10 times traffic comes to the application in the peak season. So we went to the market and buy 10 servers and build them. Okay, application is able to handle all the requests in the peak season, but in off peak season there won't be much traffic to the application. So even though we don't need all of them, right? We have, as we bought already the 10 servers, we have to maintain all of them. Organizations have to bear the cost and maintenance of all those servers in the off peak seasons as well. So scaling down is not, up or down is not that easy in the on-premise systems. It needs a lot of planning and a lot of time to scale up or scale down the resources. That is also one of the disadvantages of on-premise system. So maintenance cost. Okay. Maintenance cost is also very high because not only the resources required for creation or the deployment, but also we have to maintain the resources after the deployment, even though they are not in the very significant uses. The resources or the system has to be maintained by the additional team of IT experts. So all those things, uh, these are the disadvantages of on-premise systems. So organizations are buying the resources upfront itself, even though their high usage is in future. That is the one of the disadvantages. Organizations are deploying IT experts for maintaining all the servers, and scalability is not easy. This is the summary of what we discussed till now about the on-premise systems deployment. So the core focus for any organization or an enterprise is to look at their business, right? How to improve their business, how to compete with their competitors, how to maintain the data, right? How to show the data to the users, so that in an attractive way, so that the sales of that particular application, if it is an e-commerce application, will be improved compared to its competitors. All those things will be the goals, ultimate goals for any business. But a critical focus for a business is not that building business databases, servers, network, etc. So it does not make the enterprise unique to their competitors. What makes an enterprise unique to their competitors is how they run their business, how well their customers' data is maintained and shown to the user and analyzed. Okay, how well the recommendation products will be shown to the customers in case of e-commerce systems. That makes an enterprise unique to the system, their competitors. But building a well database, okay, building servers, networks, all these things will not be making them as a unique to their competitors. But in the on-premise systems, business or the IT systems mostly focus, IT people mostly focus on building the servers itself. So the main goal of any organization is being sidelined here, as they are focusing more and more on the system build, deployment, and the maintenance itself. Okay, so that is the disadvantage that is being that is leading while you are using any any on-premise enterprise system. Suppose have when you have two options of buying a movie at the cost of 500 US dollars and renting the same at 10 US dollars per day. Okay, there is a movie. If you want to buy that movie DVD, then you have to pay for 500 US dollars. And if you want to rent, if you want to take the lease of that movie DVD, then you have to pay only for 10 US dollars per day. So when you just want to see the movie only once and use it only once, you will go and rent it and pay for what you use. Okay, so you don't have to pay the upfront cost $500 when your usage is very less, when you want to use it only for one day. So you go and take the lease of that DVD for one day and pay only the $10. That's it. You will be saving a lot of amount for yourself, right? Similarly, instead of building, deploying, maintaining all the resources on their own, right? How about renting those servers? I mean, in the on-premise systems, we are building the systems, we are deploying the systems, we are deploying the application servers, right? We are building the storage devices, we are building the database systems, everything we are building on our own, right? Instead of doing all these things on our own, how about leasing those services or leasing those servers from someone else and pay only when you use them? Like in our example, instead of buying the movie DVD, how about leasing that movie DVD for a day whenever you want to use it? Similarly, instead of buying or building all your servers on your own, how about leasing those servers as a service from someone else and pay only when you use them? How about having data centers maintained by others, not by the enterprise? While you are building IT systems on your on premise, you have to maintain the data set. But how about having an option that the data centers are maintained by others, not by your enterprise or organization? Okay. So how about leasing the resources or the servers as services from someone else and pay for what you use? How about having the data centers maintained by the someone else but not by the enterprise? Okay, these are the two questions that are coming up with the disadvantages of the enterprise on-premise systems. Okay, so to answer these two questions, cloud computing is coming into the picture, and that's what the cloud computing is all about. Okay, cloud computing is on-demand delivery of services over the internet, and you have to pay for them only for the usage what you have used. That's it. Okay, so that is the main definition of cloud computing. You just don't have to build or deploy anything on your own. There will be someone providing that service in the internet. You have to connect to that service, pay for them, and use only. I mean, use only for the usage that is required for you, only for the duration that is required for you, and pay only for the usage that you have used. Okay, so that's all about the cloud computing definition. So whenever you need more servers or more servers, right, you just have to do some clicks in their cloud console by connecting to the internet. That's it. The resources are allocated to you in just 2 3 minutes. You don't need to uh, plan them upfront itself. You don't need to pay them upfront itself. Okay, if you don't need them, you can again deallocate them. They will be deallocated automatically. Okay, this is called on demand delivery. When you need them, you have to just create the resource. When you don't need them, you just deallocate the resource. The resource will be deallocated immediately. This is called on demand delivery. Someone will be having all these resources in an internet. Okay, there will be someone who is providing all these resources in their data centers, and they will be providing those resources that are required to build an IT system via internet. Okay, as an organization, you just have to buy and use them as per your uses and pay as per your uses. So that someone who is providing or maintaining that data center, or who is providing all these resources that are required to build an IT system for lease via internet, that someone is called as cloud service provider or the cloud vendors. So there are different cloud vendors that are there in the market, and AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, all of them are there. Okay, are the major cloud service provider. There are others also like Heroku, IBM, all of them are there to provide the cloud services via internet. So this is about the cloud computing definition. So what are the advantages of cloud? Okay, there will be a couple of, I mean, there are some around 7 to 8 different advantages are there. Okay, which we will cover it in the next video. Let me stop here with the cloud computing definition itself. We will cover it in detail about the advantages of cloud computing in the next video. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please give it a like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.